You know the easiest way to sneak up on your enemies is to make them think that they already won. Sneak attack.
I get it. Gotta be one move ahead.
Nah, son, you gotta be 3 moves. Check me. All right, try the treadmill with no music. See how long you do that. Because you'll be in your head so much and you hear yourself breathing, you ain't gonna do it as long as you usually do it. When you can put the music on and just go, it takes your mind off of it, you can do the work. It's a part of the connection. The talent that you see out there on the highest level come from circumstances. People are not built to make it. That might sound harsh, but all my experiences have taught me it's true. No matter how much support you provide them or love you show, their lowest habits are gonna pull them right back to whatever struggles they come from. That's why one of the keys of being able to hustle smarter is learning how to identify these kinds of people before they drag you back down to the bottom with them. One of the first rules of lifeguarding is never get too close to a drowning person. Why? Because when you reach them just before they go under, that person is just gonna jump on your back and cause you both to sink. You always wanna try and keep something, a float, a board, or a piece of wood, between you and the person you're trying to rescue. If they get too close, punch them dead in the face and get them off. I think depression is a luxury.
Wow.
Because where I'm from, you can't afford to be depressed. You gotta pay the bill, right?
Right.
So you gotta go to work. You gotta get up. You gotta go do what you gotta do. You got people right now that's at work don't feel like being there.
Mm-hmm.
But they got responsibilities, so they
Yes,
go.
sir.
They feel
Coming up, niggas is like, yo, who won him? Like, who he with? Me, nigga. By myself, nigga. I do what the fuck I want to do. Well, you know what my grandfather told me? You don't get as far as the motherfuckers you talk to for no reason. You'll be successful as the motherfuckers that you talk to for no reason. What I mean is, if you spending your day talking to a nigga that ain't got nothing going on, what the fuck?
Let's say the person's across the street, they look at you, they don't like you from across the street. Some people feel the need to go across the street to say why I'm a good person. I don't give a fuck.
I never ran from anything because I didn't have nobody to go to. I've always had that, where I'm going. Home to get me. Ain't nobody there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've always been in a situation where I'm forced to deal with it myself. So
look at this. I didn't fuck with cars or nothing like that at that point because this was the first run. I didn't have anything. Right. I had $800 a month for my responsibilities. I went on that tour. Following that, by the time I came back, it's $38 million there. No idea what the fuck I was gonna do before then in tax time.
That's crazy.
So it was like, we went to work, like really work. I was like, what you going back for? You wanna go home?
Right.
We didn't have shit at home.
Right.
The fuck you going back there for? Like,
That's
you know what I'm saying? Like, you wanna go home? Like, look, that was a threat. It's elementary, right? The building blocks that you put down, essentially if they keep moving, you can't build, right? So I set certain rules that was the basis for.
Great story, Kobe Bryant tears his Achilles tendon, but they need him to make the free throw, to stay in the game, to win. They're like, Kobe, you tore your Achilles, it's okay, bro. He walks out on the court and makes 2 free throws with a torn Achilles tendon. That's why he's Kobe. That's why he was Jordan. That's why he's Tiger. That's why she was Serena. And I promise you, if you went through the lives of these people you admire, they played hurt. They found a way, they built that muscle. It's the separator.
So if you could take all the days that you feel like shit, or all the days that you're distracted, or all the days you're pissed off, you don't feel like doing it, and you make those A+ productive days, how the f can you lose? The answer is you can't.
So why not have a blueprint, a mindset, a habit, a way of being that says, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, I'm stepping up. I'm taking more action. I'm coming back stronger. I'm built for this. And by the way, I know some of you listening go, I've just never been that way. That's okay. Neither were these people until they started to be that way. No one's born like that. What happens is they all hit a wall at one point and said, I'm tired of running. I'm tired of quitting. I'm tired of giving in when I'm hurt. I'm tired of backing up. I'm gonna stop. At some point, Kobe Bryant said, I'm gonna stop backing up. I'm gonna stop making excuses. I'm gonna stop quitting. I'm gonna stop flinching, and I'm gonna step into this.
This is a test that you need to pass. And there will be tests every day that you need to pass. And the more tests you pass, the easier it is to pass them. It's never going to go your way. It's never going to be easy. There are always going to be things that break. There are always going to be things that go wrong. And your job is to get through this regardless of what comes your way. You know what I'd say when I get out of bed? I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet. Doesn't matter what happens today. It doesn't matter if there's a fucking fire or an earthquake or tornado or the fucking heavens rain down fire and brimstone on my motherfucking face. I'm getting my shit done. And that's the difference between people who lose and people who win. They have a mentality that you are not going to fucking touch me. You are not going to throw me off track. And it doesn't matter if it takes until 3 o'clock in the morning. My list of gets done every mother day.
And that's why habits matter, rituals matter, routines matter. Because when we're down, when we're under pressure, when we're hurting, we resort to habit mode. And if your habit's to get up and fight, if your habit's to get up and do it anyway, if your habit is to show up and give it your best, regardless of how you feel, then that will be your default setting. But if your habit has always been, yeah, I gotta rest a little bit. I gotta evaluate this. I think I take a breather, because that's what everybody does. But everybody's not successful.
You gotta make the decision before you get to the battle. When things get hard, you go harder. You break that thing that's in front of you. You don't let it break you. Where would you be at in your life if you didn't quit? People ask, how did you change, Trent? How did you grow? It's because I learned how to persevere. And the more you quit on things, the more it becomes contagious and you quit on everything. We have no mental toughness and we give up. We have no emotional resilience and we give up. And I know this is not the message people want to hear, because people want to always blame other people for their life. Let me tell you something right now. It's your life. Stop blaming people. Stop pointing the finger. It's on you. At some point, you got to say, you know what? I'm not going to let my past control my future. At some point, you got to say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. At some point, you got to say, I'm going to make the world respect my greatest. At some point, you got to do it.
When something bad comes my way, I'm thankful for it. Now I've got a chance to prove that I can freaking beat this. People don't get remembered in easy times. People get remembered in hard times. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning, it's raining outside, you don't want to go to the gym, but you get up anyway and you go to the gym. And why? Because you believe in a higher cause. So you do that over and over again. Small steps lead to big steps, lead to the big picture of who you are and what you can be. You cannot think about the whole process. You have to be able to break all these big, humongous, painful things in life down to the smallest molecule, because that's all the brain can handle. The brain can't handle hours and hours and hours of suffering, but it can handle right now, I'm doing 1 more mile. I'm doing 1 more rep. I'm doing 60 more seconds. Don't think about the rest of it. When you're in the hell, you can't see the beauty of being in it when you're in it. Get on top of that mountaintop in your mind, but look down at what you're doing. You can see a whole different world, and that world is beautiful, but you gotta get a different vantage point in the suck. Don't be in it. Spiritually, get out of it. Look down on what you're doing. Be amazed by the process of where you're at now and where you came from. We all have two people. We have the easy voice, which is that voice that we all love. That's that very comfortable voice holding you saying, it's gonna be okay. Doesn't care how good you are, just loves you. Just loves you no matter how messed up you are in life. So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is a voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing shit. You're not working your butt off hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. Turn up this voice and listen to the truth. The truth is in this other part of your brain saying, look man, you're wasting a bunch of percentage here. We have 80 more percent that we're not tapping into, because in this other 80% is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then a whole bunch of light. But to get to this light, you gotta go through all of this
What kind of competitor sees the finish line and slows down?
Hear what I'm trying to tell you. Close, 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 close. Why? Because the world treats you different when you close.
You should fucking quit. You should quit fucking quitting. Any path you take to get where you want to be, if that place is worthwhile to go, it's going to be fucking hard. So quit judging your quitting based upon how hard something is, because every single path that you could possibly take to get somewhere where you want to be is going to be hard. Struggle, pain, frustration, those are signs that you are on the right path and making progress. Nobody that is where you want to be has gotten there without these struggles, without the bleeding, without the pain, without the depression, without the misery. Nobody. And if you want to be something great, You are going to have to learn to accept the struggle as part of the recipe.
Everybody's living off the hope factor. They hope the water's never cold. They hope the weather's f***ing good. I don't live off that hope shit. I wish the water's cold. I wish the f***ing rain. When the end is unknown and the distance is unknown, that's when you know who the f*** you are.
You look for excuses. Look for solutions. That's what winners do.
10 years from now, you will surely become someone. The big question is, who? What are you becoming? What do you want to do economically? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What would you like to have? What would you like to share? How much would you like to earn? How far would you like to go? Those are some major questions to ask. And if you go to work on it now, sure enough, in a very short period of time.
The hustle and your actions speak for you. This is the only way you really could prove who the real hustlers are. Not who make the biggest hit record of the summer. Not who got the biggest buzz, or not who got the best stylists. We gonna look back a decade from now and see who got the most money, who made the most moves.
Gotta have a little money to live out here.
Oh, yeah?
Got to have it. Now I know what you're thinking. I was the one back in the day always talking about I love the hood. I love the ghetto. I was the one said I wasn't the kind of nigga make a little money and run to the suburbs. Yeah, you right, that's what I said. But as soon as I got my check, I was gone!
Is the sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not gonna let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, some
bad days, man. I may have a bad moment, maybe even a bad hour, but never a bad day. I don't, because I set my own thermostat. Ain't nobody gonna get me hot with me. Master the 3 W's. You gotta want it, you gotta work it, and you gotta win it.
I know that's right.
Now, how bad do you want it? Because if you want it bad enough, you go work it.
Just don't listen to people who haven't done what they're telling you about. It's always important to consider the source. If they tell you don't live your dream, check very carefully and see what dream it looked like they were living. All those people that 10 years ago were saying get a good job, those jobs are bankrupt. All the people that say you got to put your money in the bank, baby, that bank folded. The only thing that you can count on is your God and yourself.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
I don't wanna be no goon, nigga. I don't wanna be dead. I don't wanna be in jail. I want 100 fucking million. Buy your mother's son, buy your grandma's son, nigga, buy your sister. It's easy to pull the trigger, but it ain't easy to move your mom out the hood. You can't just wake up and move your mom tomorrow. That's a real man's job.
Beautiful thing about mistakes is it's okay for people to see you make a mistake. Just don't never let a mother see you quit. You gonna watch me make mistakes, but you ain't gonna never watch me quit.
I came from nothing. Pain made me. You don't understand what it's like growing up hungry, scared. So I turned that fear into rage, and I turned that rage into power. They laughed at me, called me dumb, called me crazy, but I didn't care. I kept going. I trained like an animal, slept in the gym, cried in the dark, bled in silence. This world don't love you, it tests you, it breaks weak men. But if you survive that,
When you don't have an option, it absolutely has to work for you, you know? So I'm like, I gotta make a record that makes everybody stop right now and say, who's this guy 50 Cent? Right now, who is this guy, you know? And
The thing I have is my heart. You know what I mean? Don't take that. My heart, my dignity, and my honor. That's all I got. That's Tupac. Don't take that from me. Ain't nobody taking nothing from me. Them dudes that took the jury, all of that was insured. I got more now. Everything that they took, I got back. But better. You know what I mean? Everything. If I crash my car, I got a new car. Somebody take something from me, I'm getting something else. I'm a survivor forever. I will.
Rule number one as a man, never allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. Right? Never allow your perspective to get blinded by the mission and the purpose and what you're trying to accomplish.
If you'll say before you go to sleep, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me tomorrow. And if you'll say when you get up in the morning, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. And if all day long you say, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me, you'll find that as you go to sleep the next night, and try this today, it's a very powerful exercise. It sounds a little bit corny, but it's a very powerful exercise. If you'll try it, you'll find that when you go to sleep, you will not be able to think of all the wonderful things that happen to you. You'll just be...
Guy who's 43 years old, lives in his parents' basement, and he fucking hates the world. I'm like, that was a baby. Man, this is a baby that somebody just gave shitty nutrients to, whether it's nutrients in the forms of food or in the form of thoughts and ideas and examples, and this kid developed these horrible self-defeating patterns of behavior that have led them to this point where they're this middle-aged person with no future and no idea of how to get out of this rut, and probably never will escape it, and might just wind up sucking on a gun. You know, I mean, this is the world that we live in today. And I think part of that world is because we have been fed this line of horseshit that you're supposed to seek comfort. And I don't think you are. I think you're supposed to seek lessons, and you're supposed to seek difficult tasks and accomplishments. And through those things, and through doing things that are hard to do, even if it's just a fucking 90-minute hot yoga class. I do a 90-minute yoga class, man. Those last 20 minutes, I do not want to be there, man. And I definitely don't want to give 100%. And I can cheat. I can kind of half-ass it. But if I don't, and I get through it, when that time is up and the lady says namaste and everybody gets up, I'm like, fuck, man, I made it. You know, I lost 15 pounds. My fucking yoga mat is drenched to the point where I can literally wring it out and fill a jug up with water. But through that struggle, I will now have a better day, and I better fucking do it again tomorrow, or do something else, because if I just think, well, tomorrow I'm just gonna coast and eat Twinkies and watch TV. Oh, hello sadness, my old friend. Hello depression, because when you're not doing anything, you feel like shit. And that's just a part of being a human being. And we can pretend that we're something other than what we really are, and we can pretend, nah, me, man, I'm just cool, just chilling, doing nothing. Bullshit. You're a fucking human. You're a human being. You evolved from the fucking hundreds of thousands of years of hunters and gatherers and people that were struggling. Those human reward systems are carved deeply into your DNA. And if you don't respect that, if you don't respect the mechanism of happiness and fulfillment and what you really need to do in order to feel satisfied in life, camaraderie, love, family, friendship, struggle, testing yourself, learning, all those things are imperative. They're all giant. It's never too late. If you're alive, you can get better. If you're alive right now, you can improve your condition. You can improve your situation, and it starts with improving the way you think. That's the most important thing. The way you think of things, the way you think of things, the way you address things, you've got to change that. And you got to look at things objectively, and you got to be brutally honest with yourself. And the more you bullshit yourself, the more it's going to be difficult. You're literally throwing weights on your back and making it harder to move forward.
Things we would like to experience, and we just stop at but, and we build a case. In fact, I was reading something the other day that talked about but. It says but is an argument for our limitations, and when we argue for our limitations, we get to keep them. See, but will cause you to procrastinate, but will cause you to hide out behind fear, but will cause you to come up with all type of excuses that you can validate your inaction and not acting on your dream. And right now, more than ever, people need to look for ways to live their dream. People need to look for ways to make it on their own. There is no such thing as job security. There's no such thing as a storm-proof or tragic-proof life. There are no guarantees today, ladies and gentlemen. The illusion is gone. There was a time when we graduated from high school, you're told, go to college and get out, and you go and work for a corporation for 30 or 40 years. They'll give you a gold watch and you'll retire. Special announcement, that day is gone. That day is gone, never to return again. So instead of people living in fear, feeling stressed out, feeling powerless, feeling like victims, I think it should be a time that we need to begin to look at ways that we can become an active force in our own lives. Look at ways when we can decide to take charge of our own destiny. Look at ways when we can decide to design a life of substance and begin to truly live our dreams. And it's time for people to decide, I'm ready to get on with my life. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left. A guy named Bob May said this, don't let nobody turn you around. Do that right quick. Now, you know, a lot of people say, I'm going to live my life one day when things get right. When I get all my bills paid. When I get my feet on the ground. I say, what have you been walking on? See, there are no problem-free moments. A guy named Dimples had a record one time called, If It Ain't One Thing, It's Another. And I say if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something there to build a case on why you can't grow to the next level, why you can't begin to manifest your greatness, why you can't begin to live life on your terms. Always something there to block you, to keep you where you are, and keep you from beginning to develop your true greatness. Always some fear. How do we handle it? And I'm saying that if you've been hiding out behind but, if you've been using the fact that you don't have enough money or you don't have the education, take it head on. Go get the education. I was saying to a guy the other day who was saying, I said, how old are you? He says, 47 years old. I said, your sister tell me that you can't read. He said, you? I'm 47. 47? Yes. And you can't read or write? Yes. Have you ever heard of adult school, adult education? Have you decided that you should learn how to read to begin to expand your world? Why are you using that as a racket? Why don't you decide now that you're going to expand your world, that if other people can learn, you could learn too? Well, it's hard for me. Have you been and sit in a class yet? Have you signed up yet? No, I haven't. See, a lot of people say no, ladies and gentlemen, to things, and they don't even know what they're saying no to. They haven't even challenged themselves. He hasn't even gone to sit into a class and say, teach me how to read. Instead, it's been easier, thinks, trying to play a whole con game, pretending he knows how to do something that he doesn't know how to do. And you know what? Most of us go through life like that. Most of us go through life pretending that we're satisfied where we are, pretending that everything is okay, pretending that we don't have any special goals or ambitions or desires, when really deep down inside we do really want more. But if you look at our behavior, if you judge based upon what we do, that really will tell you some true stories about people, because you have to judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it talks about. See, a lot of people pretend. See, I was pretending that I really wanted to lose weight. No, you just watch what I eat. I tell you what I'm seriously committed to. People will tell you, oh yeah, one day I want to have a restaurant. See, they're pretending they want to go into business for themselves. They're not serious. How can you tell, Les? Watch their actions. Watch what they're doing. The proof is in the pudding. So if you want to do something, if you thought about something you want to do, take it head on. Decide that you're going to start looking at it, start doing research on it, start tackling it, start becoming involved in whatever and wherever it might lead you to begin to explore the possibilities in that particular thing that you're seeking, so that you can begin to learn all you can about it. Decide that you're going to face it, that whatever shortcomings you have, that you're going to strengthen yourself there. Whatever training that's required, that you're going to go get that training, that you're going to get started right now. And George Washington Carver would say, do what you can, where you are with what you have, and never be satisfied. S.B. Fuller used to say, and you heard Joe Dudley talk about, always strive to be more than that which you are. Yeah, don't get satisfied with yourself. Always know that wherever you are, you can enjoy more, that you deserve more. But most people, you know what they do? Most people go through life quietly and safely, tiptoeing to an early grave. Find out what it is you want, and go after it as if your life depends on it. Why? Because it does. People that have found their passion, people that found the things that they love, people that have found the things that they can pour their lives into, those people live longer. I was in New York and I had to do a seminar at a special church, and a guy by the name of Reverend Johnny Youngblood. And I said, how is it that you were able to build this big housing facility and got all of the various community and religious groups together to have this dwelling for 2,000 residents that were once homeless? How were you able to take on this responsibility? Wasn't it overwhelming? He said, the kind of work I do, he said, it's in me. I've got to live what's in me. And I think that's everybody's desire in life. You've got to live what's in you. Life is just too short and unpredictable. But what do we say? But there'll always be tomorrow. Oh no. There's no guarantees you're going to show up tomorrow. There are a lot of people who were here yesterday that they're not here today. There are a lot of opportunities that were around yesterday. They're not here today. Oh, you can wait, but you know what Abraham Lincoln said? Well, good things might come to those who wait, but only the things that have been left over by those who hustle. So who want to go through life picking up leftovers? You deserve much more than that. The leftovers that somebody has left you. So take it head on, begin to explore. Here's something else. Decide to do it now. Decide whatever you want to do, that you are now going to become actively involved right now, exploring the possibilities for you.
If you turn on to a butterfly, or somebody will step on you like a little worm, it's your choice.
You could say one thing to somebody who's never been an entrepreneur, and they're thinking about making the leap of faith into becoming an entrepreneur. What could you tell them?
Well, I'll just tell them the same thing that happened to me. You know, my last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox, and my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about $30,000 taxable. It's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John, and John says to me, he says, you're gonna be back. I said, why? He says, because you're gonna fail. I looked at him and said, look, few expletive words, because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, look, you failed and you came back, but I'm gonna fail and I'm never coming back. And that's the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy, then that's what you'll do. So if you fail, that's when I became an entrepreneur, because I had no money. I had no money for years. You know, I didn't have a paycheck, but that's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says, when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? So really, that's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur. The most obsolete idea is go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. See, why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. You see, it's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture.
So what do you do?
In every one of us is a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle class person, and the middle class persons want security. They want that steady paycheck. And there's a rich person. And they're all inside of us, except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You're not taught how to get rich. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life. He says the moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee, and that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me taxes. Debt and taxes make the rich richer. Debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poor. So all the rich guys who are doctors and lawyers, or, you know, those guys, they're getting creamed, and they don't know why.
Doctors are getting creamed.
Oh yeah, they're making more money, but the take home is less.
Sure.
You know, my doctor just yelled at me. He was happy. He says, "Oh, guess what? I finally made $1 million." And I said, "Yeah, this was just 3 weeks ago." And so I said, "Yeah, well, how much you pay in tax?" He says, $750,000 in taxes. So his net was about $400,000. That's not bad. But when I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't want to invest in the stock. So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay 0 tax. Well, let me give one more step just to give you the size of it, okay? The national debt for World War II was $25 billion. Every day today, they're printing $125 billion. Every single day, that's like 5 World War IIs per day. They're printing so much money to keep this think of a hot air balloon with a tear in it. And they're doing desperately trying to fix this tear, but no matter how hard they try, the tear has gone beyond, it's coming down. So in financial terms, it's called our debt to GDP has now gone from 60 to to 90 to 105, it's going to 120. We're bankrupt. And they're going to print more and more money, which means savers are losers, just as I predicted. Your money is going to be worthless in a few years. My message is the same as some of your other guests. This is metamorphosis time. Financial education, in Rich Dad's terms, is really financial transformation. And the definition of metamorphosis is very important. Metamorphosis, the definition is the evolution or the transformation from an immature form to an adult form. An immature form to an adult form. Metamorphosis is the same as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And Fuller always said there's nothing to predict a butterfly inside a caterpillar. So everybody listening right now, if you're struggling financially, just think of yourself as a little caterpillar. And this crisis is your cocoon. And that's why I'm the old guy, you know. I meet my friends who went to Harvard. Yeah, I went to Harvard. I said, yeah, that was how long, 50 years ago? Today, the banks are charging you interest to save money. In other words, banks don't want your money because they printed too much of it. And that's why there's this bubbles in stocks and bubbles in real estate and all this. People are dumping the cash. Because as I said in here, savers are losers and cash is trash. And yet people are, well, I want a high-paying job. Well, that's an obsolete idea. Get out of debt is an obsolete idea. You should learn how to get into debt, how to use debt to get rich, and they'll never teach you about taxes. The reason the 1% is way up here and the 99% are going this way is because when you print money, two things happen, inflation and taxes. It's crushing them. And any entrepreneur thinks, I'm just going to make money, I'm going to start a business and make a lot of money because of what we talk about. They really have got to smell the roses, man. You know, that's not what the real entrepreneurs are doing. And we have, as a world, have never been here before. And so is it a spooky time? Damn yeah, it is probably the most dangerous time ever. There's nothing to compare it to because there's never been a world economy before. For example, you know, 100 years ago, if there was a stock market crash in England, it didn't affect anybody. But now the US market goes down, the world goes down. So plus with social media and all this we're doing now, we've never been here before. And you know, I'm excited about it because I make more money in crashes than I do when they go up. So, but for the average person, they'll get wiped out. I'm afraid at the worst, I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading for a global depression.
How does this play out for the average worker, Robert, for the small business owner? I mean, what does the next 3 months look like? Because it doesn't look pretty. I mean, people are already being laid off, made redundant. Businesses there's no cash flow in most of these businesses. How does that play out?
Well, let me give one more stat, just to give you the size of it, okay? The national debt for World War II was $25 billion. Every day today, they're printing $125 billion. Every single day, that's like 5 World War IIs per day. They're printing so much money to keep this think of a hot air balloon with a tear in it. It starts up here.
Right, it's that fear mentality.
It's in their words, you know, and the words become flesh. I'm not really religious. I flunked out of Sunday school also. But when they say I can't afford it or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. My PhD daddy says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape, you know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it.
And your rich dad used to say what instead of, I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? You know, what would it take, or why should I do that? He says that a question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. Rugby is a team sport, but so is soccer. The rules are different. And other people are golfers. So you always have to look at the big picture. Too many people look at, well, what's going to happen to me? When you look at the big picture, you're also going to know that when something bad happens, something good's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But you got to prepare for whatever is coming. If you think next 20 years will be like the last 20 years, you're going to get creamed. You know, when you and I go to the supermarket and we buy a carton of milk, We always check for the expiration date. But most people do not check for the expiration date on their brains. Instead of get out of debt, I get into debt. I just refinanced $300 million in debt. I went from 5% to 2.5% interest. I made a fortune. Every month, more money comes in because my cost of money has gone down. So while some financial experts are saying get out of debt, I'm saying learn how to use debt. See, when I came back from in Vietnam in January of '73, the first thing my rich dad said to me was go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. It wasn't real estate, it was how to use debt and taxes. Debt and taxes make the rich richer. Debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poorer. So all the rich guys who are doctors and lawyers or, those guys, they're getting creamed and they don't know why. And then that's when, you have one greenhouse. He says, there's many formulas for great success and money. There's thousands of them, but one of the best ones is found on the game of Monopoly. It still is today. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. I said, what? He says, one of the greatest ways to acquire great wealth is playing Monopoly in real life. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. What, is that all there is? He goes, and he says, what do you think I'm doing? And I went, I don't know. So then he took me out and he showed me his greenhouses. And 10 years later, when I was 19, I was now in school in New York, and I come back to Hawaii, and Rich Dad had bought the biggest piece of land smack dab in the middle of Waikiki Beach. And when you go to Waikiki Beach today, you'll see the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That was his hotel.
Just like the game of Monopoly.
Just like the game of Monopoly. But what we were actually talking about was there's no such thing as a bad economy. There's the external, you and I, we all have an external economy, but we also have an internal economy. And the willpower is to change our internal economy. So for me, I can see the good and I can see the bad. I don't really give a damn because I'm going to be rich anyway. But a poor person with a poor personal economy, all they're going to see is a bad economy because they don't know how to make money in any economy. And a middle class person, they have a middle class economy. What they want is a nice house and a steady paid job and the car. And so when you take their job away, to them, that's disaster. Well, since an entrepreneur doesn't have a job anyway, it's no big deal. So all I'm saying to people, and it's what Bucky Fuller taught me, is always 2 sides, you know what I mean? Unity is plural, at minimum 2. So if you think the economy is bad, it's because your economy is bad. If you think that steady, employment is important, then you'll see an economy without jobs. He said the paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life. He says the moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee, and that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me. He drove my poor dad, government employee, nuts. You gotta pay people, you gotta pay people. And Rich Dad was not saying that the paycheck was bad. He says he didn't want to be a slave to money. So as an entrepreneur, if Rich Dad folded, I just start another company. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anybody to take care of me. If my government doesn't like me, I move to another country because they need entrepreneurs there. So the entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill sets and the different set of rules. You see, I don't operate, small business does not operate in the same rules as big business. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. And depending upon whether you're an employee or a small business, the rules are different. And the definition of metamorphosis is very important. Metamorphosis, the definition is the evolution or the transformation from an immature form to an adult form. An immature form to an adult form. Metamorphosis is the same as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And Fuller always said there's nothing to predict a butterfly inside a caterpillar. So everybody listening right now, if you're struggling financially, just think of yourself as a little caterpillar. And this crisis is your cocoon. The question is, what do you emerge as? Do you emerge as a victim? The world did that to me, and the capitalists are crook, and the rich are bastards, and all this stuff? Or do you say, oh, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. The same as my health. I am ground zero for the coronavirus. All that does is inspire me to get healthier. You're either going to get healthier and wealthier, or you're going to go bust. Your choice. It sits between your ears, your heart, your body, your mind, your spirit, your attitude. This could be the best thing that ever happened to you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you turn on to a butterfly or somebody will step on you like a little worm. It's your choice.
The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, which is important, or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. So, and then when people ask me, how did your rich dad learn this when your poor dad, a PhD, didn't? And the answer is very simply, my rich dad, who's my best friend's father, his father died when he was 13. So rich dad had this family business at 13 to run. So he had to drop out of school, which was his blessing. There's blessings, and sometimes the blessing doesn't look like a blessing, but it turned out to be a blessing. And then his teachers became his bookkeeper, his accountant, his attorney, his banker, his real estate agents. Yeah, it's called an internal focus versus an external focus. So the real entrepreneur has an internal focus, that if they fall down, they say, oh, this is good, because I'm going to go up higher. The average person will fall down and say, oh, I'm going to take some Prozac. Or somebody has a mistake, so, oh, the mistakes don't matter. Well, mistakes matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down, they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. That no matter what happens to them, they get stronger and better and smarter and happier. But a person with a weak internal mindset is that they're so afraid of what happens, it generally happens. Like, people who are afraid of losing their jobs, they generally lose their jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
everything
you can
comes through you.
Yeah, so the entrepreneur first job is to control inside here, not outside there. The moment you take that paycheck, you're an employee. You've got to be stronger than that. It's about inside control. Keep them poor. So my father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. Government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. And I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. When we have obsolete ideas, we get obsolete results. So what's happening for most people, the idea of going to school, getting a job, working hard, saving money, getting out of debt, buying your house because it's an asset, investing for the long term, is obsolete. The world has changed. The world changed in 1971 when President Nixon took us off the gold standard and money became debt.
What if we get rid of school? Then what would happen? Would it be better if we had no educational system at all?
No, I'm saying education is more important before. It's just obsolete. There's Moore's Law which states information doubles every 18 months. In other words, everything's obsolete 18 months. So, and this is just a recent phenomenon. So when you come out of school, you're already obsolete. And that's why I'm the old guy, I meet my friends who went to Harvard. Yeah, I went to Harvard. I said, yeah, that was how long, 50 years ago? Today, the banks are charging you interest to save money. In other words, banks don't want your money because they printed too much of it.
Focus and fail fast. Learn quickly. Try something new. Faster you fail and learn, the faster you succeed. You actually learn to succeed by failing. Thomas J. Watson's famous line, if you want to increase your rate of success, you must double your rate of failure. Because success...
You gotta really focus on your finances. What's a necessity? What's necessary? What's just for enjoyment? Let's cut out the enjoyment until we in a position where we really on our feet. I've done it. Sometimes you gotta push yourself. You gotta challenge.
Brother, it only takes 6 months to completely change your life. 6 months of discipline. Wake up early, hit your non-negotiables. Stack wins even when you don't feel like it. 6 months of dopamine control. Cut the scroll and delay gratification. Soon you'll crave focus, not stimulation. 6 months of intentional action. Stop overthinking and start doing. Take focused action towards your goals every single day, no matter how small. 6 months of saying no to distractions, to excuses, to comfort. Say yes only to the things that move you forward. 6 months of systems over motivation. Build workflows and automate your habits. Let systems carry you even when your energy doesn't. If you're able to do this,
Stay away from hood people. Stay away from ghetto people. Stay away from people who are in a survival mentality. They're the most dangerous people to be around. See, one thing that I realized about people who romanticize the struggle is that they have no value for life. They'll take your life for bread. Your life is worth no more than a $20 bill to these people. See, these people don't have a value for life, so why would you risk your life being around these people when they don't value their own life? Why would they value yours? See, you need to stay around high vibrational people. People who understand that money is just a tool, not a value for life. $1 billion isn't worth your life. But people in the hood mentality, they don't understand that. Don't romanticize street life. They put it in the music, they put it in the movies because they want to poison the youth, because they want to make you believe that your life is just as worthless as a brick. They want you to believe that you can't be an entrepreneur or a business.
You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is part of the process. People who never fail never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You're
looking for this great mythical mental toughness. Mental toughness doesn't come from sitting on the couch. It doesn't come from wishing it would come true. It comes from putting in the work, and you have to start developing your mindset. Mindset is not developed by wishing. Mindset is developed by doing and actually putting into practice. The mind wants to have control over you. You need to have control over your own mind. So that's all about the mental health. Your mind's gonna always guide you in a spot that wants to make you feel comfortable and nice and secure. And it's in those spots that there's no growth. Without friction, there's no growth. So that's what I constantly preach about.
Burnout is not even real. You burn out mainly because you're busy, not because you're actually productive. Working nonstop without good direction, it feels like progress, but it's just motion. You cannot do everything and expect to last a long time. Systems will save your energy and boundaries protect your focus. My mom taught me that, and she said, rest is earned through structure, not escape. So
set up a schedule and just do the work. Free from how you feel, because also feelings sometimes, you wake up one day you feel this way, you wake up the next day you feel another way. It's just not helpful to base your structure or your goal on how you feel. You stick to what you put there on paper. And this struggling of there are still so many distractions every day coming up. No, but you stick to the plan. You stick to your plan to do what you have committed yourself to, and at the same time you don't do the things you already know are not good for you. Set up a
planning is the cause of every failure. Action without planning is the cause of underachievement. Action without planning is the cause of frustration, time wastage, anxiety, stress, and lack of success in life. So organized plans of action are critical. Now, what is an organized plan of action? An organized plan of action is where you take your goal, you take your objective, and you write out every single step that you're going to have to follow in order to accomplish that objective. You write it out and you list all those plans of action, all of those different activities, and you organize them together into a plan that you can then implement on a day-to-day basis. You decide which has to be done first and which has to be done last, which is more important, which is less important. In fact, the ability to set goals and to create plans for their accomplishment is the master skill of success. If all you learned in life, all you learned in school...
There's 3 things you can do to reprogram your mind.
Firing neural pathways.
Please go.
Get up in the morning,
Get up early in the morning. Not early, just get up in the morning. If you get up at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, go straight into the bathroom. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, start brushing with the left. Look into the mirror. Now we're talking to the subconscious brain. Eye to eye in the mirror and say, I love you 10 times. When you finish that, let's get some oxygen inside you to start the day. Exaggerated breaths to start the day. That
How many?
Rewires straight away.
How many breaths?
I always tell my guys do 25 in the morning, 25 lunchtime, 25 in the evening.
Okay, so left-handed teeth brushing.
Yes.
Look straight in the eye in the mirror. I love you. I love you. I love you 10 times.
Yes.
And exaggerated breaths. 25.
Will change your life.
Will change your life.
Change your life. Guys, listen at home. I know there's a lot of people listening and or watching. Don't have three things. If your life doesn't change that day, give me a call. I'll send you $100 for wasting your time.
You know that you can increase your intelligence and creativity by exercising your brain in a different way? Here's a simple exercise that will change your life, as it has changed mine and thousands of other people. Take a sheet of paper, write your current goal or problem at the top of the page in the form of a question. For example, you could write, how can we double our sales over the next 24 months? You then force yourself to write 20 answers to that question. Once you've written down 20 answers, and you can write more answers if you like, but 20 is the minimum, go over your list and select one answer which you can implement.
Get the fuck over it. They no longer want you. Sometimes life can really hijack your fucking mind. When that happens to you, you're all fucked up. Your goals, your ambitions, everything is out the fucking window. In life, we all go through different things. Maybe you failed a test in school, you worked your ass off. Guess what? You failed the fucking test. Get over it, move past it. Learn to not let life hijack your brain. At work, you've been working your ass off for that new promotion. You don't fucking get it, someone else does. Maybe they kiss better ass than you do. Guess what? Get over it. Life will hijack your mind if you let it. Don't allow all these things to make you a lesser person. You must own your mind. Don't let life own yours. Get after it, stay hard.
I need you to keep your word to yourself. Every day you get up and you say you're going to do something. Just focus on the day. Every day, keep your word to yourself every day and do what you said you're going to do in order to take life to
The one thing in the whole universe over which you have complete control, and that is your thoughts. If you wish to change any of the conditions of your life, you have to change the thoughts that precede those conditions. You have to change what is going on in your mind. Whatever you believe with feeling, and this is the key, with feeling, and the more emotion you put into a belief, becomes your reality. If you believe something that is positive or believe something that is negative, or as Henry Ford said, if you believe you can do a thing or if you believe you cannot, you are right. Most of the limitations we have do not exist in reality. They exist only in your own mind. We have a deep down desire inside of us to remain consistent. So we're always trying to view our world, rationalize our world, interpret our world so that it is consistent with what we have already decided to believe. However, if we begin to change our beliefs...
To psychology, you're not a night owl. You're actually doing something called revenge bedtime procrastination, which is where you stay up very late after work, school, college, because it's your way of reclaiming time that you feel was taken away from you throughout the day. And this is you trying to feel like you have a little bit of control over your life. If you can relate, maybe this account.
Reach your goal, how to reach the goal the quickest, be focused with your energy. Discipline your thoughts. Stop thinking too much. Meaning, be focused with the mind. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Whatever you do, from the moment of waking up until the evening, whatever you do, keep the goal in the mind. Why? This is the quickest way of making this goal become real. Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you can completely immerse into whatever you are doing.
Told people, I'm like, the easy thing to do at the end of the day is flowed all the way down. And then
The more I study successful men and women, the more I find that every single one of them, the top 5%, are very clear about where it is they're going and what it is they want to accomplish. And when I look at unsuccessful men and women, or men and women who seem to be unhappy and floundering, I find that almost invariably they have a very, very limited sense of direction, sometimes no sense of direction at all. You see, we as human beings are goal-seeking organisms. We only function at our very best when we're working toward accomplishing something that is important to us. And in my estimation, 80 to 90% of all the unhappiness, hostility, violence, psychosomatic illness, alcoholism, drug addiction, and so on in our society is caused by people having no sense of direction. They don't know where they're going. As they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Do you understand this principle? This principle is terribly important. You can be the most talented, the smartest, the best educated person with the most valuable contacts and all the advantages in life, but if you are not focused, it doesn't do you any good at all. If you do not have clear, specific goals for your life, you are doomed forever. Keep your goals confidential. Keep goals confidential. Don't discuss your goals with anybody, except that the great majority of people are threatened by anybody who has a goal. They're worried. It makes them feel inferior and inadequate because they don't have goals of their own. So only discuss your goals with people who also have goals of their own. Discuss them with the people close to you whose help you need to accomplish them, but just don't discuss your goals with people at random, and don't give them a chance to shoot the goals down. People are negative today. The reason why people are unhappy, the reason why people are sick and frustrated, the reason why people underachieve in life is most of them are living by this law of accident. The law of accident simply says, by failing to plan, you're planning to fail. Well, these are the sort of people that say, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And feeling that their life is controlled by forces outside themselves, don't have clear plans, don't have clear goals. We are going to show you how to free yourself from the law of accident personally. Who have an effect in your life that you want to have more of, more success, more money, more happiness, better health, you can trace it back to a cause. All progress in human life and human society stems back from identifying the causes.
Self-evaluation, and you got to do a lot of hard decision making, you know, but you got to, I think that if you committed to progress and you committed to success, that you're going to figure it out based on survival and necessity. It's a lot of mental reprogramming you got to do more than anything, more than
around you. There was no fucking team. It was you. There was no weight loss program or mom and dad waking you up saying you can do it, you can be better, trying to build belief. You built belief when you had nothing. Rock bottom. You did that. So as times get hard for me, the truth comes out. And my truth is powerful as fuck. It's real. It's tangible. I feel it. It comes out of my brain as I speak about it. I'm reliving every
reason why people don't set goals. See if this applies to you. Is they don't know how. Surprisingly enough, and when I started studying this subject, I found that everybody said to set goals. Very important to set goals. Got to set goals. Got to have goals. Got to put a timeline on goals. But the fact is that there were no really good goal-setting methodologies. But if you don't know how to set goals, I can tell you to set goals all day and it wouldn't do you any good. You can go through 12 to 15 years of school in our society and never get 1 hour on goal setting. Imagine 12 to 15 years. I have taken a postgraduate degree in business from a major university, and never once did they spend 1 hour talking about how to set and achieve goals. Never